Well, it's June and I have the latest figures and news to share with you to keep you as up to speed as possible on what's happening in the housing market both nationally and locally here in Spokane. My name is Phil Wells, I'm a real estate agent who likes to keep up to date with the market, and I want you to be as informed as possible too. In this video, we're going to look at pending home sales, mortgage rates, mortgage applications, as well as some news articles that stood out to me recently. We'll then piece it all together at the end and figure out what it all means. So let's get on with the video. Looking first at pending home sales. Just a note on these figures, they are the latest figures available, but they are from April. So why do we look at pending sales rather than closed sales? Well, it takes about 30 to 45 days to close a transaction. So closed sales in April would represent activity back in February, March time, whereas pending sales are able to give us the most up-to-date impression of where the market's heading. A pending home sale is exactly what it sounds like. It's a home that's had an offer accepted on it, or in some other way has ended up in escrow waiting to transfer ownership. Contract signings actually declined 4.4% month over month in April. Year over year, contract signings jumped 51.7%. We are obviously comparing April 2021 here with April 2020, and we all know what happened last year. Everything locked down, including real estate. Where I am in the West region, contract signings declined 2.6%. Year over year, they were up 57.3%, but as I mentioned, these year over year figures just really aren't valuable. This strikes me as odd. Typically, when the weather heats up, so too does the property market. Fewer contract signings either points to fewer homes available to purchase or waning buyer demand. So are we starting to see buyers give up on their property purchase as the reopen continues and people begin to shift their focus back to their ordinary lives? And what's happening to inventory? Inventory, particularly in the affordable housing range, remains a serious problem. I submitted an offer recently on a property that was below the median list price here in Spokane, and discovered that we were competing with 17 other offers. That points to the kind of market that we're in right now and the low inventory that we're experiencing. The catch is that we need more homes to level out the market, but nobody wants to sell until the market levels out. Because 9 times out of 10, people that are selling are likely buying too, and why would you trade one inflated asset for another? But we do have some potential good news on the horizon. According to the National Association of Realtors chief economist, he anticipates that housing supply will improve as early as fall. He points to the increased comfortability of those listing their homes, as well as a rise of sellers after the eviction moratorium ends or they exit forbearance. I certainly hope he's right. But what about buyer demand? What's buyer demand looking like? And I think we'll have to look elsewhere for clues regarding this. So let's look at mortgage rates first. What's actually happening with mortgage rates in terms of the numbers? It can be difficult to keep track of mortgage rates, particularly when you're bombarded by advertisements constantly. You do tend to switch off, I know I do anyway. Sticking with April for a second, mortgage rates at the start of April were 3.39%, and by the end of April they tapered off to 3.12%. So a nice steady decline in mortgage rates there in April. In terms of up-to-date mortgage rates, as of June 10th when I'm recording this, rates have dropped further still to 3.08%. So this is a positive note for buyer demand. Anything around a 3% rate is an extremely attractive rate for buyers. Sticking with mortgages for a second and looking at mortgage application rates. This is a huge leading indicator when it comes to the overall housing market. It doesn't matter what rates are if nobody is applying for a loan. So let's head over to the Mortgage Bankers Association, the MBA, and see what the experts have to say. Purchase applications were up slightly last week, and the average loan size on a purchase application edged down to $407,000 below the record $418,000 set in February, but still far above 2020's average of $353,900. Home price growth continues to accelerate, driven by favorable demographics, the recovering job market and the economy, and housing demand far outpacing supply. Now let's try get some insight into the market from a few news articles that have stood out to me recently. Okay, let's take a quick look at Redfin, see what they have to say. I use Redfin a lot because honestly the housing market updates that they put out are very good and they cover a pretty broad spectrum of the housing market. Okay, let's take a look at these articles. Housing market update. Is relief from the red hot market on its way? Let's hope so. 1,500 Austin homes have sold for more than $100,000 above the asking price this year. Goodness. High-end home sales surged nearly twice as fast as sales of mid-priced homes. Housing market update. Half of homes are selling above list price. I'm surprised it's only half, to be honest, from what I'm seeing in my market. Redfin's survey, 1/3 of millennial home buyers are using extra savings from the pandemic for their down payment. So this is one I'm really interested in. is relief from the red-hot market on its way. Asking prices leveled off as pending home sales, which were rising at this time in 2019, posted a 3% monthly decline. Homes still sold for record prices at record speeds. So this is really the meat and potatoes of this article right here. Early indicators that the housing market may be starting to soften. So pending home sales are down, we know that. Asking prices fell just a little bit. New listings for homes were down. Active listings are down too. And mortgage application rates are down. So simultaneously, it looks like we've got slightly less buyer interest and fewer houses on the market as well. Looking now at my local market here in Spokane. Fortunately, we get data much quicker here in Spokane than we do nationally, so we're able to look at closed sales for the last month rather than having to look at pending sales from a couple months back. So let's take a look at that data and see how the Spokane market compares to the national market. As we can see in May, sales are up 36.9% when compared to last year. As I said before with the national figures, comparing this year's figures to last year's figures just isn't a fair comparison given the lockdown that happened last year. Median list prices were up 29.5% compared to last year. Inventory is down, representing just a 10-day supply here in Spokane. The biggest thing that jumps out to me there is new listings are down 5.6%. May 2020 was, a couple months into the height of the pandemic and the lockdown. So if we're down on listings from that period, that is a little bit of a concern. Now let's try piece all this information together. We have a slight downturn in the number of contract signings. We have prices up, competition up, time on market down, loan values down slightly, but loan applications up slightly. We clearly still have strong buyer demand. How long this will last is a different story. In addition, with interest rates being around 3% for a 30-year fixed mortgage, it doesn't look like buyer demand is going to go too far away, even if it is showing some signs of softening right now. So if you are planning on selling, now is a great time to get top dollar for your home. I'm hoping a combination of new construction, the end of the eviction moratorium, and people coming out of forbearance leads to more inventory. I am encouraged by what the National Association of Realtors chief economist had to say about the increased comfort level of those listing their homes for sale, because this is so important. That's it for this video. I hope you gained from this video. If you did, please leave me a like and subscribe. That really helps me out. If you are in the Spokane area and are looking at listing your home for sale or buying a home, then please reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, and I'd be honored to work with you. Until the next one, thanks for watching.